all of these, again, SMEs are feeling squeeze their opportunities, larger contracts, less accessible, pre-qualification can be difficult, and many of the small businesses feel they fall at the first fence. E-procurement, I'm sure I don't need to explain the implications of that, but we are seeing that SMEs need advice, guidance and training to become what some of the local authorities are describing as e-ready. One of our colleagues at Glamorgan, who's been doing work with the small business sector, has reported this year in a major survey for the Federation of Small Businesses that small businesses are still reluctant to engage in e-commerce in the way that perhaps the public sector would feel it is appropriate. So is it a paradox then, or does it present us with possibilities? The question is, why should public sector organisations worry about local small businesses anyway? You know, is that what we are measured on, or is it that we are driven by the desire to create better value for every pound that's spent with the authority? Now, the argument could go that the local multiplier effect makes it good value for money to invest in those small businesses, because if we're giving small local suppliers business, they are likely to be employing people from the local area, they're using suppliers in the local area. The money that's being spent is not just spent once, but is spent many times over, and the impact on the economy is therefore greater. And that may be something that we need to consider. We can also look at the issue of innovation. If we are constantly driven to larger and larger suppliers, where is the innovation in the supply chain going to come from? A lot of the creative thinking and a lot of the agile thinking is coming from the smaller business community rather than the larger. And in fact, the larger the contracts that we let, the less initiative, the less incentive there is rather for the larger companies to offer any innovation. But certainly, small businesses can and will provide innovation in the supply chain. And as I said before, social innovation is the raison d'etre of the public sector. We are there to benefit society in the broader sense. Can public sector organisations drive down cost and support local small businesses? I think the answer is yes. What can we do? SME-friendly processes. We can look at the documentation that we require. We can look at the way that we give them access to our opportunities, and we can simplify that process. And in Wales, we are now simplifying the pre-qualification process. So there is one point at which suppliers will register their details, and they will only be asked for contract-specific information on top of that. It's called SQUID, which is an acronym that I know stands for something significant, but I can't remember what it is. And it is being trialled at the moment, and we should have some feedback on that very shortly. But it is an exciting development and one that should help small businesses. We've also seen evidence that the more information that we can give companies up front, particularly small businesses, rather than encouraging them to apply for contracts that maybe they're not going to be competitive in fulfilling, but it actually allows them to make informed decisions, and they deselect themselves from that process when they see actually what's involved. Using lotting strategies, I heard talk of the lotting strategies this morning in various ways. And again, we've seen some innovative use of lotting strategies used by some of the public sector bodies in Wales, and we're going to be... Value Wales have published some of those as case studies, and they are extremely interesting, and we're going to be following some of those through to see how they carry on. Dual big and small awards. So we go for the national suppliers at the lowest cost, but we can also put onto framework agreements local suppliers who may be more expensive, but maybe can offer a unique service or a speed of service that can give them an edge, and it'll be for the budget holder to determine which they go for. We can work with support providers to create joined-up thinking. There's a lot of good work being done by support providers, particularly organisations like the Supply Development Service and Venture Wales in Wales. But we don't often join up the thinking and make sure that they're all working together. And we can certainly create more realistic expectations. Quite often we found that small businesses have unrealistic expectations about the sort of business that they're likely to get from the public sector. What can't we do? We can't operate outside the law, the EU directives, or authorities' own financial regulations. And it may be that some of the financial regulations need changing to become more SME-friendly. We can't force local small businesses to register and maintain their information on a database. We can't force local small businesses to be e-ready if they don't want to invest in the technology and if they don't see having those skills as being important. We can't push the issue. Neither can we accept that SMEs have a right to our business because they pay business rates and because they employ people locally. It has to be unfair competition. And we can't take our eye off the ball. In these financially constrained times, we have to be considering cost reduction, value for money, and accountability. And those are our priorities as public sector buyers. I'd like to offer an invitation to all of you here today if you feel that you have something that you could contribute to our research. If you have any successful initiatives in operation to encourage engagement with local small businesses, then please tell us. If you're advertising all or most of your contracts above £25,000, then we'd like to hear from you and hear about your experiences. And if you're no longer using approved lists of suppliers, then we'd like to hear about that and how you've managed that process. Information sharing is important. Events like this allow us to share good practice and new ideas. We would be very interested in hearing from you. So please contribute to the body of research that we're doing at the University of Glamorgan in public sector supply chain management, and keep doing the fantastic work that you do in keeping our public services working on the front line. Thank you very much.